came from the light into the dark, and now I'm going back into the light. Everything I do is with that in mind. All my wrongs and all my rights, all my songs and all my rhymes, all my money, all my time, all my light and all my dark. Everything is one. I'm talking all this light and all this dark, all this light and all this dark, all this light and all this dark, all this light and all this dark.
And somewhere between the bangles and the 40 thieves, and somewhere between the alleys and the axes, somewhere between the Romans and the taxes, and somewhere between the known facts and the axes, and somewhere between the throne and the mattress, and somewhere between the time to go and the time to get there. Somewhere between the fine clothes and the people in the threads, somewhere between the loaves and the fishes, and somewhere between the ghosts and the wishes, and somewhere between the buried.
I just stand back in the beginning, and there was dark. Then there was a lot more dark and a little more light. I came from the light into the dark, and now I'm going back into the light. Everything I do is with that in mind. All my wrongs and all my rights, all my songs and all my rhymes, all my money, all my time, all my light and all my dark. Everything is one. I'm talking all this light and all this dark, all this light and all this dark, all this light and all this dark.
Some between the sacrifice and the lamb we eat, some between the demons and the angels, some between the prodigal son and Cain and Abel, somewhere with the birthday cake and the bagel, some between the book club and the Naples, somewhere between the bottom and the top, somewhere between the collard greens and the crop, somewhere between the know-it-alls and the bards, somewhere between the how to happen and the nine, somewhere between the sun and the stars, somewhere between the drunk tank and the bar, somewhere between the hipsters and the hip-hoppers, and somewhere between the sick and the sick doctors, and somewhere between the king of kings and the kings, and somewhere between the sex fiends and the Siamese twins, and somewhere between the ink on the pad and the pen, and somewhere between the very end and where it begins, somewhere between the loser and the lottery, somewhere between the sister and sorority, somewhere between the Big Bang and the war we see.
All this light and all this dark, 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 all this light and all this dark. Where does it begin? Where does it end? Is it just an illusion, or is it the illusion? All this light and all this dark, all this light and all this dark, all this light and all this dark, all this light and all this dark.
Somewhere between the badlands and the bad guys, somewhere between the prom queens and the brides, somewhere between the wet dreams and the dead lies, somewhere between the whores and the housewives, somewhere between the church and the skirt, somewhere between the nurse and the dirt, and somewhere between the he who cometh first and she who cometh first, and somewhere between the birth and the hearse, and somewhere between the planets and the stars, and somewhere between the bullet and the target, and somewhere between the El Camino and the Charger, and somewhere between the looters and the martyrs, and somewhere between the pearly gates and the pear trees, somewhere between the Sisakaris and the Canaries, and somewhere between the Christmas card and the scams we see. I'm talking all this light and all this dark, 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 all this light and all this dark.